Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Elgar. I am the host at Expertise TV, and today we have a very special guest with us today that is going to be sharing about how to manage up. Najat Abdurahman is a keynote speaker, leadership and emotional intelligence coach, and founder of NBUC, a business advisory and consultancy firm that helps organizations and leaders transform the way they lead. A continuous learner herself, Najat loves to spark passion for learning and help people unlock their potential. Najat earned her MBA from Eisenberg School of Management, UMass Amherst, and her BA degree in economics from Addis Ababa University. Najat brings 15 plus years of experience in management, training, leadership development, and advisory consulting. Najat is also the author of the upcoming book, The Art of Managing Up, a step-by-step guide to help you become the CEO of your career. So, Najat, it's lovely to have you with us today. It is very clear that you have a passion for leadership development and helping people reach their full potential within themselves, but also within the corporate space. Talk to us about why the work you do is so important to you.
Thank you, Ashley, for that great introduction. And yes, I'm very passionate about leadership development, learning overall in leadership development, and helping organizations create the impact that they want to create. The reason I'm really passionate about leadership, Ashley, is over time, through my experience, I've learned that for an organization to make an impact that it is meant to create, to achieve their goals, it really depends on the processes that they create, the environment that they create, and the people they hire, which all really depends on the type of leaders they have. So when an organization has great leaders within, guess what? They create the right systems, they hire the right people, they train their team, and they create the right environment for everyone in that organization to bring about their best and contribute. As people, as professionals, we spend about 8 hours of our day at work. And I do feel that the relationship that we have with our boss and with our colleagues and what we do at work really has impact, not only for the organization, but as an individual and how happy we are. And so when the organization works on its leaders, they're able to create that right environment. It's really a win for everyone. So that's why I really focus on leadership development, and I'm really passionate about it. So about 4 years ago, when I founded Impact, the mission of Impact is to help organizations that create positive impact in the society, to help them develop their leaders so that they can create the impact that they were meant to create. So the tagline for Impact is transform the way you lead so you can transform your organization and create the impact that you want to create.
Transform the way you lead so you can transform your organization and create the impact you want to create. I love that. So, Najat, you talk about the art of managing up. Can you explain in a little more detail what managing up is exactly and why all professionals should manage up?
Yes, Ashley, I talk a lot about the art of managing up. I have a training course on the art of managing up. I speak at different conferences. I have a book coming up on the art of managing up. And the reason I do focus on all aspects of leadership, but the reason I focus more on the art of managing up is professional success is seen as tied to our hard work, how effective we are as an individual contributors, or how effective we are on managing our subordinates. See, sometimes, like most of the times, actually, the focus seems to be on managing down or being effective. But in today's dynamic work environment, there's something more important, and that is the ability to manage up and across. You might see professionals who are very hardworking, very committed to the organization, but they're not presented with opportunities. Their value add goes unnoticed. They don't feel appreciated. You might see professionals who are extremely hard workers, they might not get along and have productive working relationship with their boss. You will see, and this happens in many organizations, individuals at the company, professionals who have great ideas that can really transform the way the company does the work, that can create an impact. However, they don't know how to influence the decision makers. And so the ability to manage up effectively is a skill that is not only necessary, but honestly very critical. It's the main differentiator between people who advance in their career, who get to get appreciated, promoted, compensated for what they do versus those who are left behind. It's the key differentiator between those who can influence decision making, who can present an idea and get the change that they can bring versus those who are not. It's a skill that professionals need to hone on. And in fact, there are studies that show that. McKinsey, the global consulting firm, conducted a study, and here's what they found out. Managing up and across was 50% more important for the business success than being an effective leader to your subordinates. They also found out managing up and across was twice as more important for one's career success. So it's very known. This is the missing ingredient, the ability to manage up effectively, to manage up and across effectively is the key differentiator between those who advance in their career and those who don't. So it's a skill that will benefit individuals, that will benefit leaders, and that will benefit the organizations. Now, in terms of definition, I can give you three definitions. So the first one is Cambridge Dictionary. So Cambridge Dictionary defines managing up as working in a way that makes your manager able to do their work effectively. Harvard Business Review defines it as being the most effective employee you can be, adding value to your boss and your organization. Now, my personal experience at Inback and helping other leaders in their stories and case studies tells me that it's really not necessarily just about adding value to your boss and your organization. Effectively managing ups, the way we define it at Inback, is being the most productive employee you can be, adding value to your boss, to your organization, and completing that cycle by adding value to yourself as well. So it's really that win situation where you're a productive employee, adding value to your boss, adding value to your organization, and adding value to yourself so that it's sustainable thing that benefits everyone. So that's how we define it at Inback.
Thanks, Nejat. So you have been working in this space for over 15 years. In your experience, what are some of the common roadblocks that can really get in the way?
In my experience, actually, there's few things that are roadblocks that get in the way. And I talk a lot about this in my book, and I have them in about 6 categories. Some of the things that stand in the way. The first one is something that I call naivety, being naive. What I mean by that is many professionals, we believe that if we work hard, that is enough. If we are great at being a great leader to our subordinate, that is enough. So the first is just realizing that is not enough. You need to actually learn how to manage up effectively. So in addition to this one, which is tied to it, is the fact that we believe in the myth of managing up. If you were to ask most professionals what they think managing up is, they think it's kiss-assing their boss or tooting your own horn, or it's, oh, I don't want to brag about what they do. So they believe in the myth associated with managing up, and they say, you know what, I don't want to do this. I don't want to brag about my accomplishments. So they fail to manage up because they believe in the myth associated with managing up. And they believe that hard work is you just to put your head down, get the work done, and great work will speak for itself. That's the thing that we believe. But unfortunately, great work does not speak for itself. Data don't speak for themselves. We got to show what we've accomplished to be able to do that. So that's the first category. The second thing that gets in people's way is something that I call self-erasure in the name of humility. And this happens, I think, to women and sometimes like immigrants and children of immigrants, because we are told to be humble, right? We have a wrong definition of what humble means. And so I'll give you an example of my client. She would get compliments for the work that she did. You did a great work. And she would just say, oh, That's nothing. That's what I'm here for. I didn't do anything. What she didn't realize was that she was self-erasing herself from being recognized for the accomplishment that she's making. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be a win-lose. It doesn't mean that we've accomplished the thing on our own. Of course, we do recognize the contributions that our team made, the contributions that other people added to what we created. But self-erasure in the name of humility is one that I see most professionals doing, and that's really getting in the way of being recognized and appreciated and also advancing in our career. So self-erasure in the name of humility. The other thing that I see is not aligning well with our boss. Sometimes as professionals, we think we're working on the right projects, the strategic projects, but we fail to pause and ask, am I really working on a project that really adds value to the organization? Is what I'm doing right now the most critical project that adds value to my boss, that adds value to the organization? How is what I'm contributing and what I'm doing adding to the organization? So making sure that those are aligned, and I get to talk about this a lot in the book, is we got to make sure that we mobilize our boss, that we are adding values, we're working on projects that are strategic, that add value to the bottom line of the organization. The other thing that gets in the way, the fourth thing, is imposter syndrome. And this happens to a lot of people. I provide a few tips and insights on what people can do in my book. But imposter syndrome affects everyone. It's really the feeling that you're going to be found out, that you don't deserve what you got. And so that really prevents people from actively promoting themselves and sharing and shining in that organization that they are. The fifth thing that is very important is communication. Communication is a skill that I think one of the top skills that professionals need to excel at. The way we communicate about our work, the way we communicate and present our findings, the way we communicate with our boss, even the one-on-one meetings that we have with them, what we communicate on and how we communicate really affects where we get in our career. So not having high impact communication. If what we're communicating is not impactful, we're not going to influence decision making. If we're not communicating about the impact that we're creating, guess what? No one is going to know. So that's the fifth thing that gets in people's way. And the last one that I'm going to share here, at least, that gets in people's way is not having thought partners. And a lot of people I hear, especially in management, they say, oh, it gets lonely in the top. If it feels like it's getting lonely at the top, that is not right. It's not supposed to be lonely at the top, because you're supposed to create thought partners that you can collaborate with and work with. Most people, when they get promoted to management, now all of a sudden their peers are now their subordinates. And so they create that shift of, oh, now I'm a manager, and how do I create this relationship? People forget that you can't get anywhere on your own. So you got to build that thought partners, people that you collaborate with, people that you can work with and advance and share best practices with. So it's either people that work in your organization, people that work in different departments in your organization, and at the same time, people that work in similar things in the industry. So not having the right thought partners, not having sponsors at work is the thing that gets in the way. And that's what I would, but I'll be more than happy to get more in detail if you have more questions.
You mentioned some really great points there, Najat, many of which I know resonates with me and will definitely resonate with our audience. So that brings me to my next question. What can professionals do to overcome these roadblocks and manage up effectively?
So there are several things that professionals can do to address this roadblocks and effectively manage reps. So the first thing that I would recommend is actually knowing what is getting on your way. As I mentioned, there's few things that we believe that might be preventing us from effectively managing up, whether that's being naive and believing that our hard work will speak for itself, or whether that's imposter syndrome, whether that's low impact communication. Really identifying what it is and then working on that is going to be very key. Now that's the first. The second thing that people can do is to think about what I call self-leadership, which is basically identifying your goal, where do you want to go, and then seeing what you can do to get there. And that really starts with self-knowledge, knowing what are your strengths. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What gives you energy so that you can align the work that you do at work with your strengths. So you can work on your strengths. That way you become invaluable to the boss and the organization, and that you're contributing and your contributions are known. So there's several assessments that people can take to identify their leadership style, their communication style, their strengths. So once you know who you are and what your strengths are and what your tendencies are in terms of communication, that's a great self-knowledge that's going to help you become invaluable. There's this book that I love. I love the title of it. It's called Be So Good They Can't Ignore You. So good they can't ignore you. So how can you be so good that you can't be ignored? And the way to do that is, for me, to know your strengths, because if you get to work and hone on your strength and you get to work on projects that really align with your strength, guess what? It's not going to be a hard work. You can, whatever you contribute, you're going to really shine. So that is the second thing. And then the other thing that I can mention, which is very key, is once you know who you are in your communication style, a big aspect of it is mobilizing your boss and making sure that you have that great working relationship with your boss. Now, mind you, I'm saying a great working, productive relationship with your boss, because you know what? You don't have to have a great relationship with your boss. You might not like your boss. You might have very different working styles, but it's absolutely critical for you to have a productive working relationship with your boss, because without that, you can't get anywhere. So how you create that is by practicing a platinum rule. So the golden rule that we know is treat others the way you want to be treated, right? Now that's a golden rule, which is good, but there's something better, and that is treat others the way they want to be treated. And this is very key for professionals, because the way you communicate with your boss should not be the way you would like to be communicated. It should be the way your boss likes to be communicated. The way you talk with your direct reports, with people, shouldn't be the way you would like to be communicated, because you are very different and unique than the people that you deal with, the people you work with, the people you collaborate with. So the key is to know who you are, and then identify and know who the people that you interact with are, and especially in your boss in this case, and then create that collaboration and productive working relationship with them. There's a few other things to do when it comes to aligning and mobilizing your boss. The other thing that you can do is work on your communication, work on improving your communication. And then the fifth thing that you can do is create thought partners. Creating thought partners really starts with doing network map, know where you are in terms of the networks that you have, the thought partners that you have. And then once you identify that, try to see how you can consciously build that networking skill, create that group of partners, thought partners, that you get to create and also nurture. The other very key aspect of effectively managing up is making sure that your contributions are seen. Now, in an ideal world, your boss would recognize for the achievements that you're creating. But sometimes only great people recognize the strength of other people, are willing to recognize the strength of other people. So what you would do is, if your boss is not recognizing the accomplishments that you're sharing, make sure that you are seen in action by the people that you want to work with. And I share a lot of strategies in my book as to how you can do that. But it's really finding out the people that you want to work with, the people, the executives that you want to have as sponsors, the executives that you want to have as mentors, and making sure that you create the opportunities to be where they are so that you are seen in action. I've had several examples of a client of mine who wanted to be in the merger and acquisition department at the company that she was working at. She was in a different department, And so she realized that the head of the finance department always comes to the office at 6:30 in the morning, gets their coffee and get to work. And so she recognized that she wanted to be in front of that executive. So she did that. Sure enough, when the opportunity opened up for a merger and acquisition department, she was the first person to know. And of course, she applied, went through the application process, and she got it. The same thing happens for if the opportunity or the work that you're looking to do is not available or doesn't exist right now, there is an opportunity to create it. I know a client who volunteered to create a public speaking group for her sales department. And guess what happened? When she created that, it became a really great platform for the sales people to share best practices. They practice how to make presentations with their clients. And so it really created that impact that the CEO of the company asked that person to become a manager, and finally asked her to like train the team and really be their leader. So if where we are is not where we want to be, we have to find and create opportunities to be around those who will recognize our strength and who will provide us with that opportunity. So that's that. In my book, I share ways to effectively manage up. So it starts with like self-knowledge, becoming very invaluable to your organization, addressing and knowing what stands in the way and working on that, making sure that you mobilize your boss and align the work that you do with what creates impact in the organization. And then, of course, making sure that your communication is top and high impact, whether how you communicate in email, how you present your findings, and how you communicate daily, and even your one-on-one meetings. I do share best practice and questions to ask in all of your one-on-one meetings. And then last but not least, creating that thought partners that you can collaborate with, being actively and visible within the organization and outside of the organization so the executives would see the impact that you're creating.
Great. Thanks, Nejat. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to talk with you today. Before we close, for those that would like more information or are serious about managing up, how can they go about getting in touch with you?
Thanks, Ashley. It was great speaking with you as well. Now, if someone is serious about managing up and they want to get in touch with me, the best way to get in touch with me is actually connect with me on LinkedIn. You'll find me there, Nejat, Nejat Abdurahman. You can also get to my website, www.n-bac.com. I do have a course on the art of managing up, self-paced course. My book is coming up, will be released late this fall, so you can get that book. You can sign up to my newsletter and receive emails. We don't send them frequently, but we do send emails with some tips, so you can subscribe there to get emails from me and stay in touch. Now, if someone wants to start the art of managing up and work directly with me, you can also set up a meeting. We can discuss how we can get that to work. If someone wants to work on the art of managing up, learning to effectively managing up on their own, what I would recommend is start with identifying where you are in terms of managing up right now, and then get to know what stands in the way and really address that. Once you're done with that, I would say work on self-leadership. Know who you are as a person, your strength, your leadership style, communication style, and then mobilize your boss so you can create that productive working relationship, to be able to have that working relationship, to communicate with them, and that you make sure that you're aligning your work with the priorities of the boss and priorities of the organization. And then once you do that, make sure that you are becoming so invaluable, so good that they can't ignore you. Make sure that you are working on your communication style and creating a high impact communication, whether that's how you communicate one-on-one with people, whether that's how you communicate via email, how you present your findings, public speaking, all of that range. And then be visible, create opportunities to meet sponsors, to be in front of leaders who would recognize you and your strength, who will see you in action and who can then present you with opportunities. It's very detailed. We can't discuss it here. But if you do want to work one-on-one with me, go ahead and schedule an appointment, read the book on your own, and join our community of people who are learning to manage up effectively. That way you have accountability partner and you can do it in a community. So that's it. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. And thank you so much, Ashley. Appreciate it. It was great talking with you as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Najat. There you have it, folks. If you are ready to manage up effectively, you can reach out to Najat via LinkedIn, or you can go ahead and visit her website at www.n-bac.com. Thanks again for joining.